Farmers markets and co-ops aren't just where we buy food. They're where health, connection, and community take root. So when you support local farms, you're not just nourishing your plate, you're strengthening your community and your health. We experience 1,000 waking minutes on average every day. How are you spending yours? I'm Dr. Wendy Bazilian, and you're listening to 1,000 Waking Minutes. I can't wait to connect with you here with practical ways to eat well, move daily, and be healthy, to optimize every waking minute you live for a happier, healthier life. Thank you for sharing some of your waking minutes with me today. Let's get started.
I'm saying yes to better days, yes. I'm on my way, yes. It's gonna be okay, yeah.
Hi, I'm Dr. Wendy Bazilian, and welcome to 1,000 Waking Minutes. As we head into Memorial Day weekend, let's just call it the official start to summer. I mean, let's face it, that's what we really treat it like. I thought it was the perfect time to explore the vibrant world of farmers markets, of food co-ops, of produce box programs like CSAs, and how they enrich not only our plates, but our community well-being as well. So to kick off, I'm going to start with a little story. Not so long ago, one Saturday morning in the Bazilian home. And it went like this. Let's drive up to see our friends at Sage Hill this morning, I said to Jason and my daughter Calliope. This was about a Saturday morning like any other, but one where we were making a trip to North County, as we sometimes do. Hilda, our dear friend who I will most definitely be sharing more about in a future episode. She has an amazing part cookbook, part art book, part family storybook that's coming out soon. I'm very excited about it. Well, Hilda is someone that I worked with for over a decade, and we became close at that time when we were working in the destination spa world space. And we know the whole family, Hilda's whole family, and they're what I would consider part of our San Diego chosen family, really. They live a little further than when we used to live closer up in North County, and it's about a 45-minute drive up to where Sage Hill Ranch is and their home. We've known their kids since they were kids. Now they're full-grown adults. 2 are parents. 1 is a parent of fur babies, and all of them are amazing. There's 3 of them. And these just aren't any old friends. We've known them for 22 years, and they live on a 5-acre property that their youngest child, now a man, has turned into a thriving local vegetable and fruit producing farm, along with a lot of contributions from the rest of the family too. So Farmer Spencer, we call him, both affectionately and accurately, led the charge to turn their property about 8 years ago into what is now called Sage Hill Ranch Gardens. It's a small but mighty regenerative farm that's become a staple in our San Diego region. And on Saturdays, they have their At the Farm Market Day. Other days, they're busy supplying some of the area's top restaurants, grocery stores, specialty markets. They're at, I think, 3 different farmers markets during the week. And, well, the rest of the time, they're farming. But on arrival on a Saturday morning, it's at their home, at their farm. We never know what we'll be seeing or trying or doing. And the air is always filled with the scent of combination of fresh earth and sweet aromatic flowers or fruits or things going on farm. There are horses, there are some goats, there are chickens that lay eggs, and it is truly the best air to breathe. It's cleansing, it's crisp. they've actually changed the microclimate by how many trees they planted and how much vegetation is growing abundantly there. The plants take in, of course, our human carbon dioxide and the carbon dioxide that is given off by so many other things. And they give us back, the plants that is, pure oxygen-rich air. And it feels like a micro-cleansing of my lungs, of the air, of the body, really. And it gives us the freshest O2, the freshest oxygen. And I always think of oxygen sort of as the first nutrient, the one that we absolutely need to survive from minute to minute. Their market stand, I think it was constructed by Rocky, Hilda's husband, who's been there a long time. I would imagine it is. I've never asked. I'll do that soon. And it's always styled in fine detail by Mother Nature, if you know what I mean, with a little help from Spencer's team. The produce is always just harvested. It still has a little bit of dirt showing occasionally. Gasp at that, but that's life. That's the verdant nature of the garden. The greens are so crisp and green. There's sometimes rainbow chard. There's juicy plums when they're in season. And there's a few thoughtful additions, always sort of curated by my friend Hilda, sort of the matriarch of the farm. Little favorite books. Books of poetry, books about nature, cookbooks, handmade soaps that are crafted from farm ingredients, for example. Something always special and intentional. And that's certainly Hilda's special touch, I know. We always get to walk around. We're guided as we walk around. This is a working farm. And we get to see what's sprouting and what's new and what's happening. And there's always something that's picked and handed to us to taste right off the plant. This is a time where we just eat it right off the plant. No rinsing, no questions, because it's so, so good. They grow a diverse variety of fruits and vegetables for the greater San Diego area. So this isn't just a special experience for our family, even though on Saturdays it really is. But I want to point out something really cool that I learned from Farmer Spencer when I interviewed him for an article that I wrote not too long ago. About a third of Sage Hill Ranch Gardens produce is sold wholesale at the Food Shed. The Food Shed is a farmer-owned co-op in San Diego that helps bring local produce, make it available to low-income families at actually affordable prices. And that's really hard. I think it's so cool that we have this in San Diego, and I think it's so cool that such commitment comes from our small farm community doing the great things. I was going to say the right thing. Yeah, I guess it's the right thing. Great things. And it's such an example of equity in action. They also practice regenerative practices, regenerative farming. There's no tilling, no monocropping, no synthetic chemicals, and they focus on building the soil health. So much so that they have more natural pest resistances happened over time. It's incredible if you get talking to them. They're planting fruit trees that cool the microclimate and retain moisture in the area. They're sort of in a desert area up in North County, San Diego, Escondido area. And Spencer told me that they've seen output has actually gone up in their crops and pests have gone down since switching to these back to basics practices, but with smarts. I want to underscore that this is using the best of our brains and sort of what we know how today, but using regenerative and natural practices of perhaps yesteryear, the way it used to be done, but more sophisticated. And it's proof, really, that nature knows what she's doing. And it's a win-win for the farm and for our planet. They're even working toward opening a learning center, a not-for-profit learning center on the farm to help inspire and train the next generation of farmers and really to educate us all. And this is something that is so important because farming, family farming, as the generations progress, has actually declined. And it's hard to convince young people to become farmers. And they're doing just that. And if you're being a small farmer, even a micro farmer, like a home farmer, you can learn some things that way as well. So this is such a wonderful Saturday. It's a visit with our friends, and it connects us so literally to what we eat and to our earth. And I always get sentimental when we go there. There's lots of history we have with this family, and I'm so proud to know them. Spencer, Hilda, Paige, Rocky, and Soleil. I put them out of order. Hilda and Rocky are the married parents of Spencer, Paige, and Soleil. And the whole family that they've created, not just for their own future, they've done this, but for ours here in San Diego. So this is really a specialty kind of farmer's market. It's a single farmer's market day on the farm. It's a micro farmer's market, so to speak. One farmer, one family hosting a community market day most Saturdays. But here in Southern California, we are lucky. I know that some of you listening will say, well, you're particularly fortunate because of your weather, and we are. Whether it's Tuesday afternoon at Pacific Beach, Sundays on the campus of the La Jolla Elementary School, Saturdays in the Little Italy district of San Diego with the Mercato, the farmers market there, and so many others throughout our county. And I admit that we're particularly fortunate. But it does remind me to remind you that you probably have some too. Maybe as many, maybe fewer. Maybe they're a long season, or maybe you have very seasonal farmers markets, but seeking them out, which I'm going to encourage you to do today, especially now, this is a great time to do it, is so nourishing, it's so valuable, and I think it's so important in a number of ways, including, and importantly, to your own personal health. The connection, the food, and the person who grew it can be profound. And it reminds me and is a reminder to us all that foods are more than sustenance. They're a story, they create relationships, and they create community. So, just thinking about walking through the markets lifts my spirit. You can almost feel the sunshine coming down. You can almost smell the aromas of basil or rosemary, or the fresh citrus that sometimes wafts through the air as farmers are sort of cutting up pieces that you can sample along the way. I just love that. So as I always like to do, I want to ground us a little in the science, because I can wax on about the fun of going to the farmer's market. And I can even hopefully sell you into the benefit of there being some good fruits and vegetables there. But I want to talk now a little bit about the science of local eating and the benefits of visiting a farmer's market or participating in a CSA, community-supported agriculture, or in co-ops, in sort of co-op markets. Because going to a farmer market or joining a food co-op doesn't just feel good, it's actually good for us in measurable and real-world ways. So I'm going to highlight just a few of the health and well-being ROIs, the returns on investment, that come from shopping and connecting locally to our foods that are grown nearby and our artisans that are doing things locally as well. First up, increased produce consumption. It should be no surprise to you, and common sense actually, that you're going to find lots of fruits and vegetables at a farmer's market. But there's actually research to suggest that when you go there, there's a good chance, that you'll actually start consuming more. In a 2021 study of residents, a survey of residents in the Washington, D.C. area, they looked at the relationship between farmers markets usage and health indicators like fruit and vegetable consumption, as I mentioned, at meal preparation time, and also meals away from home. And here's what they found. Just a 1% increase in farmers market usage was linked to a 6.5% increase in fruit and vegetable intake, and nearly 10% increase in time spent making meals at home. So by just increasing the frequency in going to the farmer's market, it was linked to an increase in fruit and vegetable consumption and more time cooking meals at home, preparing meals at home. Not only that, but it also was linked with decreased amounts of time away from home for meals. So this is pretty powerful. In other words, simply visiting your market a little more often might help you shift your eating patterns toward more fresh, nutrient-rich foods. And cooking more at home often means more control over ingredients and better long-term health outcomes too, as other research has shown. So even a 1% increase in farmers market use led to a 6.5% increase in fruit and vegetable intake and a 9.4% increase in time spent cooking at home. I just can't underscore that enough. And the best part is it's just one study of a growing number of them showing how local food and access to it can translate to real health benefits. Others have shown that placing farm stands outside of the community sites that are within walking distance has led to increased fruit and vegetable consumption. So a small shift for a big return. A study in North Carolina found that kids living closer to farmers markets had lower BMIs, body mass indexes, while those that surrounded more fast food and pizza places had higher BMIs. Our food environment matters, and our proximity to it matters as well. And this is not just theory, it's measurable, it's local, and it's personal. It's really cool, right? So the second benefit is that produce prescriptions, I don't know if you've heard that phrase before, and produce access programs really do work. There's a growing movement behind what are called produce prescriptions. In other words, programs where doctors and community clinics can actually give monthly stipends and vouchers for fresh fruits and vegetables. How cool is that? I think it's one of the most exciting developments in the intersection of healthcare and nutrition. And it's the rise of these produce prescription programs. These are initiatives where healthcare providers can literally prescribe fruits and vegetables. They make healthy food more accessible, and especially to underserved communities. And there's a growing number of studies that have shown real impact for these, real world impact. In one comprehensive study that was published just a couple years ago in the journal Circulation, Cardiovascular Quality and Outcomes, the researchers examined the effects of 22 such produce prescription programs on nearly 3,900 participants who are at risk for poor cardiometabolic health across 12 US states. And it was done over the course of many months. The median was 6 months, so sometimes more, sometimes a little less. And their findings were notable. First, they found increased produce consumption. Adults increased their daily intake by approximately 0.85 cups, more than 3/4 of a cup, nearly a cup for most adults. And while children were only boosted about 1/4 of a cup. So nearly a cup for adults and just over 1/4 cup boost from the produce prescription programs in consumption of fruits and vegetables. And while it was only about 1/4 cup for children, I do want you and me to keep two things in mind. Kids, especially in their younger toddler and even through their tween year, research has shown that they tend to get more fruits and vegetables than other life stages. Parents tend to be more focused on it. They tend to be consuming more, particularly fruit, and they get closer to the daily recommendation in the first place. Also, they're smaller. They're smaller in size and they're just developing. So their actual recommendation is lower. So 1/4 cup is actually moving the dial in a significant way toward their daily recommendation. So this boost really is like icing on the cake. Well, that's not appropriate. Maybe like cherry on the top of the fruit sorbet here with this impact of the produce prescription on real consumption. And I think that's super impressive. They also saw in this particular study other health improvements, and I want to make note of these. Adult participants also experienced notable reductions in blood sugar levels, in body mass index, and improvements in blood pressure. Significant cardiometabolic risk factors, significant health factors for us in general. And these findings really do underscore the potential of integrating nutrition-focused interventions into healthcare to help combat or reduce the risk of certain diseases and also promote overall well-being. So this is really like medicine through food, for real. It's the power of a different kind of prescription, perhaps, literally, produce prescriptions. And the third and final benefit I want to share today is that community connection really counts for our health. Farmers markets create these pockets of real interaction. People don't just shop and leave, typically. They linger, they chat with vendors, they see neighbors. And according to data from the Farmers Market Coalition, shoppers report more frequent social interactions per visit than when they're at a traditional grocery store. And this isn't just anecdotal. In the national survey, nearly 1 in 3 people, 28%, said that the greatest benefit to their farmers market was that it brings people together. Another study in Los Angeles found that over half of shoppers felt a strong connection to their community, and an overwhelming 99% believed that the market improved community health. This sense of connection has been tied to better mental health too, to lower stress and even greater life satisfaction. In a world that feels so rushed and virtual these days, this human connection you can get from a farmer's market and community interaction, it's a real gift. So if you're ready to get marketing locally and support your farmers and your health this season, there are some practical ways to start. Whether if it's your first visit to the farmer's market this season or ever, or if you're curious about getting local seasonal food into your life, don't worry. This isn't about overwhelm. This isn't about who does it better. Just want to give you a few meaningful and simple steps to get you started. So number 1, find a farmer's market near you. It sounds basic, but sometimes we don't know what's just around the corner. And remember what I said about the distance. If you can walk to it, even that may contribute to increased fruit and vegetable consumption. But one place you can go right off the bat is to localharvest.org. So it's localharvest.org. And you simply type in your zip code. You'll discover the markets in your area, what days they are. You may find a big weekend event. You may find an intimate, charming weekday event, a little roadside stand and marketplace that you never noticed before. I would encourage you to print it out, or even better yet, do that and enter it into your planner. I find this helpful, especially if you're a person of routine where you just stop at the supermarket, and especially if it's not your everyday go-to for shopping. If it's in your planner, it'll sort of ping you in your mind and on your planner. Maybe if you set an alarm, it'll literally ding you to shop, to go plan an outing, and it'll remind you of doing something good for your health. Tip number 2, consider joining a food co-op. Co-ops are member-owned grocery stores, or buying clubs, some call them, and they often source local food and other local items, to offer great prices and perks to members. They may let you even vote on what products that they carry, so your values can help shape the shelves. You can search for something like Food Co-op Near Me, or you can go to farmersmarketcoalition.org for more resources. We have one in our area in Ocean Beach called People's Food Co-op, and it's as much of a community itself as it is a local, organic, community-owned market. And it's been around since 1971. And I know someone else who's been around that long too. So next up, you're looking for the farmer's market. You're searching for a co-op and considering that. Number 3 is thinking about subscribing to a CSA or produce box program. CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And it's exactly that. You subscribe directly to a local farm and you receive a box of seasonal produce regularly. It's often weekly or bi-weekly. And you can think of it like a farm to you box, but you're literally participating in that season's crop and the vitality of that farm and that farmer for your community. Some boxes are delivered to your home. Others are sent to a school near you or a church or a community hub for pickup. And they help you eat what's local and fresh and in season while supporting the farmers who grow it. And they also help you get to know again what's local and fresh and seasonal in your area, because typically a supermarket has a year-round supply of almost anything you can imagine. For farmers, this model provides a predictable income for them, and it lets them grow just what's needed, so that ultimately can help reduce waste by growing what's needed and the amount of subscriptions that have come through and some predictions and things that will be purchased for sure and committed to, and it can help boost their sustainability as well. For the community, this builds a resilient and regional food system. It gets you access to local, fresh, and seasonal foods. And for you directly, this provides you fresh and nutrient-rich foods and a new sense of connection with where your food comes from. And probably some of the health perks that I talk about frequently, from our brain to our heart to our skin to our sleep to healthy aging and so many more things. So in order to find some of these places like the CSAs or the produce box options, you can go to localharvest.org, the same place I sent you for farmers markets. And right there's a link right to CSAs, but you can also do localharvest.org/CSA, simple as that. You can go to the USDA site, the CSA directory. There's something called the Good Food for All Produce Box Program. So there's multiple ways. You can also just Google. So I'll give you a few keywords for that. CSA near me. And you can probably find one that way. Or produce subscription box for, and put your city name or your community name or your zip code in. You can also just Google the Good Food for All Produce Program. I'll put these in the show notes, but I just want to mention them to help cue your mind and give you a few searchable options so that you can find them. Next, number 4, plan your visit to the market. A little preparation can make your experience so much better once you get to the farmer's market. So here's a few tips within planning a visit to the market, your farmer's market, or even the first time to your co-op. This could work as well. Farmer's market in particular here. Go early for the best selection. You might have heard or even seen that the chefs of the top-notch restaurants actually hit the farmer's market first. They're always the ones there earliest to get the best selection. The other alternative to early for best selection is actually late. At the end of the day, you can sometimes get end-of-the-day deals. It's not as predictable if you have a shopping list, but if you're a little open to what's there, you can get some really good deals at the end of the day because farmers want to sell what they have, bring less home again, back to the farm, and it's a win-win in that regard. A second tip there for planning your visit is thinking about bringing cash and bring reusable bags. Bring your shopping bags with you. Not all stands take cards. If they do, sometimes they incentivize you to use cash. And though some farmers markets now do use the SNAP debit cards, which is really cool, that's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly the food stamps, which is amazing. Not all of them do, or they may just have a special terminal for those. And third, think about talking to the farmers. Ask where your foods are grown. Ask how to cook them. Ask about them. They love talking about them. That's why they're there. Ask them for a new spin on something that you haven't tried before or that you even have. Ask what's coming next this season. Talk to them and get to know them. And the fifth tip today I want to encourage you to do And this is a little bit of bridging into the world of more produce in your diet, is try something new. Challenge yourself either with the produce boxes or at the farmer's market to grab a fruit or veggie that you've never seen before, never cooked before, never prepped before. Maybe it's kohlrabi. Maybe it's Romanesco cauliflower, golden cauliflower, this green kind of prickly cauliflower. There's different kinds of cauliflower out there. Maybe it's some heirloom greens or chard, or some of those really bumpy, wonderful heirloom tomatoes. There's lots of interesting things to experiment with to broaden your palate and broaden your diet and broaden your nutrition as well. So let trying something new spark your curiosity, spark some questions in the kitchen. And who knows, one tiny flavorful choice might just shift your habit, might shift your mood, or even a meal that you decide to share with someone else. It's how change starts, with small but real little trying it on for size, trying something new. Just like that, we're engaged with our local farms, our foods, and our community. It's so cool. And this is a season where pretty much nationwide we can get involved. And now we get to look back, or look out, zoom out, maybe I should say, on this a little, because our choices, they really do ripple outward. When you support our local food systems, you're not just nourishing yourself, you're strengthening something so much larger. First, you help to create economic boosts in your own community, and we could really use that, couldn't we? Farmers markets generate real and meaningful income for local growers and artisans as well. And in some regions, they contribute millions annually to the local economy. When you shop at a farmer's market or join a CSA, your dollars literally stay close to home. They support the people growing your food. They also extend into other job arenas. They help jobs in your area and the sustainability of jobs in your area. Local food systems, like farms in the area, create jobs in transportation, in distribution, in food safety, and marketing. It's a full ecosystem, and you're part of keeping it alive when you participate in it. Have you ever thought of that? And then there are the environmental benefits. Local food doesn't travel thousands of miles, which means a lower carbon footprint, which I hope you feel good about. I do. And when farms use regenerative and sustainable methods, like the no-till, cover crops, organic practices, they help improve our soil health, our biodiversity, and even our climate over time. So here's something else I just want to add. Places like Sage Hill Ranch Gardens, the farm I mentioned before from our dear friends, aren't just feeding us, they're modeling what is possible. Their regenerative practices, their equitable produce distribution through the Food Shed program, the creation of a not-for-profit learning center, that's like community change in motion. And it's sort of a type of localism in action, which can be very community-oriented and healthy. And importantly and critically, I want to underscore probably the most important ripple of all for your 1,000 waking minutes is the impact on your health and your family's health. Eating fresh seasonal produce from farmers, from the markets, from the CSAs, from co-ops, has been shown to increase fruit and vegetable consumption, encourage more home cooking, and even reduce our reliance on ultra-processed foods. And this translates, of course, to better mental clarity, better energy, better digestion, better long-term disease prevention, better well-lived days. And let's not forget the mental health layer as well. Being outside, talking with other people, tasting food grown with care, with chi, as we like to say. Those little things matter as well. For kids, it can be a mini adventure. For adults, it can be a complete reset on the day. And it's all part of how we spend our 1,000 waking minutes each day. So starting today, 1, visit a farmer's market. That's my call to action for you. Stroll, taste, talk. Let food and people interact and intersect and mingle together to inspire you. 2, support your local farms in some way, whether it's through a CSA, a co-op membership or shopping directly at a farm stand like at Sage Hill Ranch Gardens, you can help build a better food system, really help support our local food ecosystem. And 3, educate others. Talk about what you've learned. Share a recipe from your CSA. Invite a friend to the market next weekend. It could be an eat well, move daily, be healthy moment all wrapped in one. These little moments create momentum. And remember, we did 2 full episodes on flows, fresh, local, organic, whole, and seasonal, that acronym that is not a mandate, but a guide to looking at the foods that we put on our plate for eating well. And you got to admit that this one ticks most of the boxes. What could be more, when you engage in a local farmer's market or a co-op in hitting some of those fresh, local, organic, whole, seasonal flows? So visit it this weekend maybe, share a recipe. These little moments are so important. Eating well and living well aren't like grandiose dreams. And I hope that you hear that reiterated time and again through the time we spend together on 1000 Waking Minutes here. They really come from daily grounded choices. And I really know, I was going to say I believe, but I know that farmers markets and co-ops and participating in CSAs and doing something in some way, they're not just nice extras. They're part of a more nourishing and more connected and more sustainable way of life that can contribute to your eating well and living well. So if you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend or pass along the resources. I'll put them in the show notes. You can always find more at wendybazilian.com, and you can always send me a note at 1kwm@wendybazilian.com. I love hearing from you, and I appreciate it so much when you reach out. And as always, thank you truly for sharing a few of your 1000 Waking Minutes with me today. And until next time, I'm going to say all 3 pillars: eat well, move daily, and be healthy. So long. Thank you for tuning in to 1000 Waking Minutes. A huge thank you to our amazing collaborators, including our production and marketing teams, and Gabriela Escalante in particular. To the ultra-talented Beza for my theme music, my lifelong friend and artist, Pearl Price Photography and Design, to Daniel Ballantyne, Jen Nguyen, Joanna Powell, and of course my family, and everyone working tirelessly behind the scenes. And to you, our valued listeners, I so appreciate your support. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving a comment, writing a review, and giving 1000 Waking Minutes, that's us, a 5-star rating. And please hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you enjoy your podcasts. Please follow and stay connected at wendybazilian.com. And don't forget to share with your friends. Your support helps us grow and bring you more great content. Until next time, find some simple opportunities to optimize those 1000 Waking Minutes each day.
I'm saying yes